Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, well, you guessed it, GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. This is live stream 1256. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news, and then I will usually take a first look at a tabletop role-playing game item. Every once in a while, we'll dig into an unboxing for a board game and such, but for the most part, we kind of skew a lot more heavily into role-playing games the past couple of years, as opposed to earlier in the lifetime of the Gaming Gang. But regardless, we're just hanging out, having some fun. Certainly not invested in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, no, not at all. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel to take part in chat, and you have to be a subscriber for at least an hour. So if you check that box, and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Mike. Oh, I'm sorry. We had Semper Buffo. Was he for? I actually kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Mike is with us, as is Keithulu and Kevin R. Smith. And it does look like we are still getting the kind of oddball, strange nicknames, which weirdly enough, I thought maybe I could kind of nip in the bud. I actually changed my stream key for YouTube. I thought maybe that would kind of shake things up, because I have had, I think it was Kevin R. Smith last night talking about, for some strange reason, this is one of the only chats that he's involved on, with YouTube that is still showing these weird nicknames, not the usual ones. So we'll find out. Oh, so Kevin says the name thing's still happening on other channels too. So they were hallucinating. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a look at the classic fantasy role-playing game token set from Splattered Ink Games. You might recall I talked about the Kickstarter they have going on for their token set featuring the first volume of Tome of Beasts from our friends over at Cobalt Press. Well, we're actually going to take a look at their classic fantasy tokens, and I do believe that they are the 5e D&D SRD monsters. I think that's what we're going to take a peek at. So we are going to dive on in and take a look at that. And I will say right now, this container is pretty heavy. So I believe it is jam-packed. So pretty cool. I'm excited to take a peek at these. So we will be doing that in just a bit. So also want to mention, if you're tuning in for the first look at the tokens and you're not familiar with the show, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we get into that first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, put your feet up. Come on, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. You've probably already had a long week. So enjoy yourself. Now, if you happen to be tuning in after the stream has ended, possibly even on Memorex, there are going to be timestamps. So if you want to jump past tabletop gaming news, you'll be able to. And those timestamps, depending on the device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video. So there is that also. Let's see. Sean Mayer and Wallona's Cave, as well as Kathy Evans, have also joined us in chat. So welcome. I'll take a guess. We might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. I think it says her nickname now on chat is something like Tia Sarah, something along those lines. But yes, that would be Sarah D if she's with us tonight. All right, so let's jump on into the news, because Designers and Dragons Origins is now up for crowdfunding for author Shannon Appelkline. I think it might be Appelkline. It might not be Appelkline. And Evil Hat Productions. I've got the latest. From the birth of role-playing to the discovery of the Forgotten Realms, from the rise of basic D&D to the fall of Mystara, historian Shannon Appelkline brings you the story of OD&D, basic D&D, and AD&D First Edition in Designers and Dragons Origins. This massive 4-volume set covers the history behind each and every product released by TSR for original Dungeons & Dragons, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition, as well as basic D&D. Book by book, the 4 volumes in the series cover every product TSR released for Volume 1, being original D&D and Advanced D&D First Edition, 1971 through 1983. Volume 2 is AD&D First Edition, 1983 to 88. Volume 3 is Holmes D&D, Basic Expert D&D, and BECMI D&D, 1977 through 1987. Then Volume 4 is BECMI D&D, Black Box D&D, and Mystara, which is 1987 through 1995. This new effort began in 2013 as a series of capsule histories written for Drive-Thru-RPG. Any award-winning historian, Shannon Appelkline, has spent nearly a decade revising that original format and dramatically expanding the number of entries. Designers and Dragons Origins now stands at approximately 1,400 pages and over 400,000 words. It's a comprehensive look at the artwork and design, origins, and other stories behind some of the most iconic books and adventures of the 1970s, 80s, and beyond. This is a back your kit project. It is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the 4-volume set in print and PDF for an $80 pledge through November 20th. Expected fulfillment is July 2026. I do not believe there is a pledge level for PDF only. It could be hidden someplace. I did not stumble across it. But I've got to say, I read the original Designers and Dragons series, and I liked it a ton. I really did. I've mentioned this a few different times. The only thing that kind of threw me off a little bit is Appelkline uses a certain phrase. Now, and off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was. But it just pops up over and over and over and over again. And I know one of the things is that I believe that original series, those were not all like, it wasn't written like one volume, right? I believe it was the same kind of thing, that it was oh, it was a small piece about this game company and a small piece about that game company. And then it was expanded outward. Still, I really enjoyed the hell out of reading the original Designers and Dragons, and I will very much be looking forward to this new series, Origins. Roger Perdome has joined us in chat, as has Tessie Trekkie and Sean O'Donnell. And yes, Sarah D is with us. It is TS Sarah 84. It is a Spanish word for ant, which is what her sister's kids call her, which would make her an ant. That would be correct. Yes. Mike says, wow, more acronyms than the government. Yeah, there were a few mixed in there. That is for certain. All right, let's move on to our next news piece, because we were talking about one backer kit. Now let's go talk about another crowdfunding project, because November is Mauslita month. You need me to do that one more time? Mauslita! I know. I'm like a child. It amuses me when I say it like that. The big event is the current crowdfunding project for Junk City. Here's what I know. Junk City is a neo-noir mystery Mausritter setting, a sandbox campaign set against the backdrop of a vast, sprawling city. Play begins in the aftermath of a magical disaster. A secret gate to the fairy lands has exploded, scattering highly charged magical shards across the streets. A prominent mouse, someone dear to the players, is missing. The city is torn between four major factions, each with conflicting goals, dark secrets, and their own reasons for seeking control of the Fey shards. Players will navigate these competing interests, untangle conspiracies, and decide who, if anyone, to trust in the struggle for Junk City's future. And in the end, try to bring their friend home. From the glittering paranoia of the crust, where nobles sip tea under flickering chandeliers, to the tangled slums of the nest, where walls are paper thin and hope thinner still, Junk City is a sprawl of contradictions. In Metalmouth Valley, neon lights and roaring RC races mask the stink of crime and ambition, while the industrial inferno of Picker's Pile grinds endlessly under Rex's iron paw. Beyond it all lie the outskirts and Salvage Beach, a poisoned wilderness where outcasts, inventors, and mad prophets scrape at the edges of the world. Each district hides secrets. Every shadow whispers of the shards that shattered the city's fragile peace. Junk City contains a 36-page guidebook detailing Junk City's factions, key NPCs, districts, streets, shops, and more. 9 trifold adventure postcards featuring incredible adventure sites such as the decommissioned Caterpillar crane, an abandoned Volkswagen car turned into a casino, a rusty printing machine made into a factory, and an old grand piano. There's a sealed adventure envelope that should only be opened if players are able to assemble all the shards. 19 item card sheets containing lots of new items, spells, and special conditions, as well as a 9-piece puzzle depicting the shards, a player-facing map of Junk City, and race maps for remote control cars. Plus, there's gonna be a stretch goal or two, no doubt. There is a very short video. It's about a minute in length. So let's give this a peek. this backer kit funded within minutes of launch. You can reserve a copy of this new box set with PDFs for a $59 pledge. If you want to just score only the PDFs, you can do so for a $35 pledge through December 5th. Expected fulfillment is January 2027. Ah, yes, I know you're like, oh, January, this January? No, sadly enough, it's not. It's a little ways out. Funny enough, when Mouse Rider first came out, there were a lot of people who thought, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the graphic novels, the Mouse Guard series. I guess they were comics originally. Now I think they're released as graphic novels. There were quite a few people who thought that Mouse Rider was kind of ripping off Mouse Guard. Now people think Mouse Guard is a ripoff of good old Mouselita. Very cool. Very cool. So Spryle is with us. Looks like it's a first-time visit in chat. Welcome aboard. They say they love the show. Welcome. Yes, Mike points out Mouse Guard also has an RPG, and it is built on, I think it's like a lighter version of Broken Wheel, which I have always heard good things about, but I have also been told it's probably the most complex role-playing game out there. And yes, we are talking about other role-playing games out there like GURPS, but it's supposed to be pretty complex. Pretty complex, which is fine. I mean, if that's what you're up for, that's cool. If not, what did Kevin's lore says? I think you mean Burning Wheel. What did I say? What did I call it? See, the funny thing is, that is what I'm thinking. It's Burning Wheel. I don't know. What I said, burning something. Burning Rubber. Burning Rubber, the role-playing game. Oh, I said Busted Wheel. Oh, I said Broken Wheel. That's right. Yes, it is Burning Wheel. Thank you, everybody. You knew what I meant. Not as if I, only talk about one or two role-playing games on this show, Yes. Mike says Flat Tire, which you have to drink Flat Tire while playing Flat Tire. I think that's how that works. Hey, speaking of mice, Two Little Mice and Bundle of Holding have teamed to bring you a money-saving offer on the Outgunned role-playing game. I've got the deets on the deal. Time for action. This Outgunned bundle presents, you guessed it, Outgunned, the tabletop role-playing game of cinematic action from Rico Sirignano and Simone Formicola, and I'm sure I butchered those names, over at Two Little Mice, the Italian designers of Household, Broken Compass, not to be, confused with Broken Wheel, Inferno, and Apocalypse. In a world where ruthless villains plot to steal nuclear codes, where crooks in suits hire personal armies to amass wealth, and laughing madmen play with human lives, where someone decided to kill the wrong dog, we need action movie heroes with nothing to lose and everything to prove. In headlong adventures inspired by Die Hard and True Lies, James Bond and Kingsman, you'll find mobs of goons, race city buses at high speed, crawl through air ducts, and power walk away in slow-mo while everything explodes. Enemies surround you and the odds are terrible. But with guts, ammo, and an endless supply of one-liners, you can win through to the climactic showdown and the final credits. Powered by the director's cut system, Outgunned turns dice into adrenaline. Build your pool, chase matching numbers, and decide how far you'll push before everything blows up. It blew up real good. Reroll for style points. Spend adrenaline to twist fate and cut straight to the high-octane moments. The game runs like the camera never stops rolling. You'll veer from disaster to triumph and back. but even failures are dramatically awesome. And the Action Flix expansions give you ready-made toolkits for spy, superhero, and Wild West action, kids on bikes and alien bug hunts, vampires and dinosaurs, and even quack tales. Yeah, I wonder what that's supposed to be. No copyright infringement intended there. This new offer gives you everything you need to turn your gaming group into movie stars. And Two Little Mice has kindly provided every ebook in both English and Italian. For just $12.95, you'll get all 3 titles in the starter collection, which has a retail value of $47, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Outgunned core rulebook, along with 2 big assortments of movie genre styles, Action Flix Volume 1 and Action Flix Volume 2. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $26.14, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 4 more titles worth an additional $48, including the standalone companion game Outgunned Adventure, the campaign sourcebook World of Killers, and 2 full-length mission dossiers, Project Medusa and Fall of Atlantis. These savings will run through December 1st. And you may recall I shared my review of Outgunned. Loved it, loved it, loved it. If you're curious about Outgunned, check out that review. I actually have reviews of Outgunned Adventure and World of Killers on the horizon. I had them planned, and they just keep getting pushed back. But I promise I will get those out there for you. So, pretty sweet deal. Get your hands on all of the Outgunned items that are available as of right now. Also available in PDF for the very first time from Frog God Games is the Tome of Horrors 2018 Swords and Wizardry Update. And here's a lowdown. New Tome of Horrors 2018 Monsters Reborn for Swords and Wizardry. When Frog God Games unleashed the 2018 iteration of its iconic Tome of Horrors series for 5th edition, there were new monsters aplenty. None of them had appeared in Swords and Wizardry before, so they hunted them down and codified them. Hordes of sinister adversaries, restless dead, and other horrific monstrosities gleefully challenge your players' expectations. Bursting with dozens of new creatures, the next Tome of Horrors will be a must-have for your Swords and Wizardry or OSR campaign. Everyone needs more monsters. This 63-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $5.49. Kind of surprised it's taken that long for the Swords and Wizardry edition of the new monsters to arrive. Sean Meyer said that his girlfriend Lawrence says howdy. Well, howdy as well. Howdy right back to ya. Kevin R. Smith says, don't know if the system's that mechanically complex, talking about Burning Wheel. It seems like the rulebook goes on and on about theory instead of instructions on how to play. Yes, Torchbearer, Kevin also mentions. That is another of the Burning Wheel lights out there. All right, let's talk about our final news piece, because issue 29 of the Crusaders Journal is now available in print and PDF from Troll Games. And here's the skinny. The Crusader Journal returns. The Crusader Journal of Intrepid Adventure is a magazine designed by the folks at Troll Games. Its foundation lies in the early Seeker zine, which combined gaming philosophy with humor, tips, and pointers for the community as a whole. This issue is brought to you by Editor-in-Chief Jeremy Farkas, You know, as soon as I said that name, first thing that pops in my head is Christmas Story. His teeth were, what was it? His eyes were yellow. My God, yellow. Anyway, so editor-in-chief Jeremy Farkas and graphic designer Mel Henning. Within, you'll find a plethora of articles and material guaranteed to leave you trembling with terror. This was kind of a Halloween sort of issue. Yes, there you go. Scott Farkas is a Sith Lord. Taco Loco 787 is with us in chat. I think I said hello to W Forge. In case I haven't, I'll say hello once again. Anyway, it includes Broad and Briar, a full horror-themed Castles and Crusades adventure by Grace Caris. And I think if the little birdie who tweeted in my ear a while back about this issue was being honest, I think Blood and Briar is kind of a take on like a fairy tale, kind of a horror take on it. Keith Lewis says to them, Jeremy Farkas looks like Haley Joel Osment. I don't know. I don't know what Jeremy looks like. I only know about the character in Christmas Story. We also have Procedures and Advice on Modifying Firearms for Siege Engine Games by designer Jason Vey. Musings on What Makes Things Scary and Tips for Implementing Horror into Your Games by Stephen Chenault. New spells, new magic items, and a new PC race, Lizard Folk. Tales of mythology, both historic and imagined, and much more. The 61-page softcover is available now, carries an MSRP of $12.99. I will say it's not available in PDF as of yet over on DriveThruRPG. Should be shortly because the other issues of the Crusader Journal are available in PDF. If I remember correctly, I think you can get the PDF over at Trollord Games website. I think it's $5.99. It's either $5.99 or $7.99. So there you have it. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Yes. Of course, I just kind of mentioned DriveThruRPG for a second there. Keep in mind, Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can also support the outlet in a couple of other ways by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yummy. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, you'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you will find an invite link to our Discord server. It is absolutely free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. And of course, during all my live shows, I like to give a shout out to all our Patreon members. So big thank you to Gustavo Calvalho, Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, Game Cat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and The Madman. Much appreciated, everybody. Thank you very, very kindly. All right, so tonight we're going to be diving on in. We're going to take a look at the classic fantasy RPG acrylic token collection from Splattered Ink Games. But a few things I want to mention before we jump on into that. I have received a bunch of goodies lately. In fact, today, I had already pointed this out last night, the new D&D books arrived. So we've got the Heroes of Faerun, which has new player-facing options, and Adventures in Faerun. You notice the new trade dress on these books. I don't know if I like the trade dress. Kind of, sort of, yeah. Here's the back. So as I mentioned yesterday, I could have been saying, oh, well, we're taking a look at these tonight. Even though I had already said we were going to take a look at these acrylic tokens. But no, I don't do those kind of things. Because for one, I really want to see what these tokens look like. Because they look like they are pretty cool. And I think there are quite a few of them in this. And I figure what we can do is we can take a look at these on tomorrow's show. So I was going to share a first look at the new Riverbank role-playing game from our friends over at Cobalt Press. What I will do is I will actually share a standalone first look video for this. I will get that out on Friday because on Saturday I've got my review of Monster Vault 2 arriving on the scene. So what we'll do tomorrow, there will be no news. We will dive right on into these two books. So we will do a first look at both of these. So we will kill two birds with one stone on tomorrow's live show. So if you are interested in what's inside these, don't be late because there will not be a news portion of the show on tomorrow's live stream. Just letting you know. So I got some stuff from EN Publishing. I got Split the Horde, which you may recall I provided some coverage of when it crowdfunded. I also got Monstrous Menagerie 2 Hordes and Heroes for Advanced 5e. Weirdly enough, for one, I think I've only looked at one other thing ever from EN Publishing, and I think it was Split the Horde prior to it or during its crowdfunding run. I had never looked at any of the role-playing game stuff. I was honestly hoping that they would send like the starter set for A5e because I think you need to have the A5e core books to use this. Or maybe it's just something that's 5e adjacent. And then also the Void Runners Codex, which this is pretty hefty. I think this is bringing space fantasy or science fantasy to A5e. So very interesting. Very interesting. Kevin King has joined us in chat. Good to see you again, Kevin. So got that. Wait, there's more. So Phalanx had reached out to me asking if I would take a peek at some of their, I don't necessarily, well, I mean, Phalanx is known for like war games, but what they're sending aren't necessarily traditional war games. So we've got A Bridge Too Far, which seems to be, ready for this, kind of a choose your own adventure book. And of course, it's, World War II, Battle of Arnhem. So I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't even realize they were sending this. A very civil whist designed by Fred Serval. And I am taking a guess that this is kind of built on the old English card game whist, but also the English Civil War. So that's kind of wild. Something else that I did not realize that they were going to send me. And then I knew this was coming. 1920 Nest of Eagles. And this is the Polish and the Russians. A lot of people don't realize that the Poles and Russians went to war in 1920. So it was kind of cool. So I'm like, yeah, all righty. So this is Hex Encounter strategic level war game for 2 to 3 players. So nice. And I gotta say, this box has quite a bit of heft to it. So quite a lot of goodies arriving at my door. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then, of course, tomorrow I'll talk about what we're going to be taking a peek at on next week's shows. So we've got plenty on the horizon. All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at the classic fantasy role-playing game, Acrylic Tokens from Splattered Ink Games. But first, I think it's time. Well, I think it's just about time. Yeah, I know. I forgot to do the lower third. I don't know why I always forget to do it now. Anyway, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
What are you doing here? You ought to be outside with the rest of the kids.
This is where Thanksgiving really begins, isn't it, Edgar?
Well, now, if you're referring to the aroma of roast turkey, I concur.
No, Ray, I was talking about the kitchen. It looks like a real center of hospitality.
Did you say hospitality?
Uh-huh.
That's one thing we're always prepared for around here. Help yourself.
Wouldn't this be a good time for you and your guests to have Coca-Cola, too?
Yes, and Coca-Cola is so delicious, so refreshing, so tempting to any guest when you bring out those familiar bottles with tiny beads of moisture running down their frosty sides, assuring you that the Coke inside is really ice cold. And the good, the gracious, the friendly homes of America are always prepared for hospitality, not only on Thanksgiving Day, but every day all the year around, no matter who comes to call or who happens to drop in. And one of the easiest, simplest, and surest ways in the world to be prepared for hospitality is to have plenty of Coca-Cola in your refrigerator, ice cold and ready to serve all the time. It's a wonderful way to say to folks, so glad you came. Welcome anytime.
I wave my magic wand. I wave it twice. I don't drink Wilkins. I wave it again.
It's wild! It's crazy! It's silly!
Let's go on a silly safari. Lots of fun, a silly safari. Wildest game you've ever played. Silliest game that's ever been made. Trap all the animals you can see with a silly crew around the cookie nut tree.
Press the goofy bird and Charlie Chimp goes. Down rolls the cookie nut to Cockeye's nose. Up goes his tail, Geraldine swings round, and the animal trap drops to the ground. Got one! Roll the dice and start to play. Follow the footprints all the way through lion, gorilla, and elephant land. Lose a turn, you're in quicksand. And when your foot and footprint match, turn the cookie nut trap and see what you catch. Goofy bird! Charlie Chimp! Cockeye! Geraldine! I missed.
Take a trip on silly safari. You'll all flip for silly safari. Trap more animals and you win. The silliest game you've ever been in.
Wacky, loony, crazy, goony!
Silly safari by Topper.
Pace, #1 car thief in America. He'll steal anything, anytime, as long as it's insured.
My horoscope this morning.
His front, insurance investigation. His business, stealing cars. And now he's got to fill the biggest contract yet.
We had delivered over 40 cars to docks by Saturday. That's a sad story. To the list.
You can lock your car, but if he wants it, it's gone in 60 seconds. Things don't always go as planned, even for a pro. Sometimes when you steal a car, you get more than you bargained for.
Holy shit!
Error.
Who is it? Police! The whole damn thing's loaded.
Fasten your seatbelt for what Carcraft magazine calls the most hair-raising chase scene ever filmed. Hollywood Reporter says it's a thrill a minute. You owe it to your car to see Gone in 60 Seconds. It's grand theft entertainment. Gone in 60 Seconds. Rated PG.
Yes, the Eleanor Mustang. So the original Gone in 60 Seconds claim to fame is that they destroyed, I think it's over 90 cars during the nonstop 40-minute chase. And I think they trashed nearly double that number of cars in the entire movie. It's like, all righty. I'll be honest, I've never actually seen the whole thing. I had a friend in high school who just loved that movie. I think it was one of the first movies they went and bought on VHS when it came out. And at that time, you know, VHS tapes were not cheap. You're looking at, you know, $100 because they didn't sell, you know, tapes to regular, you know, consumers. They sold them to, you know, video rental places. So Keith Ulu asks, who is the knucklehead who gave this a PG rating? I think it's a PG rating now. Although weirdly enough, that did look like it's the original trailer. I don't know. I mean, all they're doing are smashing cars. So, and that would have been before we had PG-13. So there is that as well. All right. So tonight, I am going to take a peek at the classic fantasy role-playing acrylic tokens from Splattered Ink Games. Now, as I had mentioned previously, there is a Kickstarter going on for Splattered Ink Games and Cobalt Press for the Tome of Beasts series, at least Tome of Beasts Volume 1, to come out. And I want to say it's over 400 tokens. You can also get these classic RPG tokens as well at the same time in that Kickstarter. And I think you'll be able to save a little bit of money. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got the special box set. Before we dive on in, I do want to mention the fine folks over at Splattered Ink Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. Of course, we're not going to look at each and every token in here, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what these are like. So it looks like we've got a little, it's like a magnetic clasp here. And as I mentioned, I thought this comes in a binder, and that is what we're going to see here. And it looks as if we are going to have the tokens themselves. These are pretty heavy too, so. And then we've got the sheets for the binder. Let's see here. So these are going to be for smaller. Oh, I got some cardboard there. Let's just get that out of the way. Move that so we can actually flip these. So these are the binders here. And we've got different size sleeves. So these are going to be for, I would take a guess, these are for small and medium. Yeah, see now we're going to start moving into larger ones. So these have 6 pockets. Bet you we'll get into something with like 2 pockets or just 1. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's 2. Here's 2 pockets. Because I think the Terroresque is like included in this. And there you go. That's to hold 1. So you, of course, would take the sleeve out in order to put your tokens in. Oh, it looks like we've got like a little flap here too. Well, that's cool. That's pretty wild. For a second, I thought these were just for like stickers to write what they are or something. Kevin King says, not seeing any tokens for souped up Chevy Novas or Ford Mustangs. No Bell 47 helicopter. How can I play Spirit of 77 with this? Sorry, Kevin, this is the classic fantasy RPG set. Not the Spirit of 77 set. Actually, I reviewed that roleplay game. I did a written review. That's how old my review is. But I thought it was kind of cool. I really did. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, so this is the carrying case. Now, let's take a look at some of these. In fact, I will actually zoom in a little bit so we can get right on to these. How's that? Is that gonna work? Yeah, that'll work. Okay, but what I'm gonna do is make sure that we are in focus there. Okay, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use some white here. So I think that will help these pop a little better than the normal backing I've got here on the table. So let's see what we've got. If you tuned in a little late, I mentioned, I think that these are the D&D SRD monsters. I wonder if there's a list in the box here to tell you what these are. And they are dual-sided. I think that's pretty cool. And pretty good thickness. So look at that. Is that a fish? Looks like it's a token for a fish. Now, I do understand that these range from normally a 1/2 inch up to, I think, 10 inches. So there you go. All right. Now, we're not going to look at all of these tokens here, but we are going to look at a few. Now, as far as the Kickstarter, I know that you can get sets. You don't have to get all of them, just like with the Tome of Beasts. You don't have to get all of the Tome of Beasts. You get a better deal if you do get the 4 sets that make up that series. But you can get the 4 sets for, I want to say it's a $248 pledge. It is over 400 tokens. And if you want to just get each set, you can for, I want to say $78. So it looks like we've got a little school of fish here. It's like we've got a shark. We got looks like a killer whale. Well, that would be a pretty small killer whale. All right. So, okay, so it's actually even telling us what the sets are. So these are all set A. So it looks like we've got an elk, got a bear. Looks like that might be a small black bear. Some deer. These are very nice. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pop one out because it looks like these are cut pretty nicely. There you go. So, of course, you can utilize these with your battle maps. You happen to have flip mats from Paizo Ink. It's going to work perfectly because these are, I can tell you right now, designed for 1 inch equaling 5 feet. I'm just going to kind of pop that back into that. Oh, wow. There you go. That's a nice big turtle. Shazama85 is with us in chat. So you've got a flying carpet. So if this is the SRD, that means we will not have any beholders. All right, so it looks like these are, got some lizard men. See, that's what I was kind of curious about, like goblins, right? So that looks like that's a goblin there. That might be a goblin. So those both look like archers. That might be a kobold. See, what I was kind of curious about is, like, as an example, goblins. Usually when you have an adventure that features goblins, you have 8 or more goblins in an encounter. So that's why I was kind of wondering, as far as like multiples, like how many orcs do we have in this set? I also believe that you can order individual sheets from Splattered Ink Games too. And these are also available as virtual tabletop. I think they're PDFs. All right, here we've got some more medium-sized. So we got a giant scorpion, but not too big. Spiders. Smaller scorpion there. Now I'm taking a look. Looks like we have some characters too, maybe. That might be a dwarf. That could be might be an elf. So yeah, these, you might be able to utilize these as characters, although most people I know for their player characters would probably want a token that's got a little more oomph going. So those were these. We still have plenty more to take a look at. And it looks like these are numbered. So it looks like we've got 24 sheets. I get a kick out of how we got these little itty bitty tokens. I think that's great. Gotta be careful you don't lose them. I guess that's probably why we got the little flap on those pockets too. All right. Is that like I know that's not a phoenix. Maybe that's supposed to be, well, no, a rock I think would be bigger than that. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Those of you watching live, what do you think of these? These look pretty nice. And I'll tell you what, you're going to save a whole hell of a lot of money compared to busting out miniatures. It looks like we got some dinosaurs. Yeah, we got a couple of dinosaurs here. We got a giant snake. Got an alligator or a crocodile. I can't really tell which one it is there. Shazam85 says, yeah, they like these. So it looks like maybe these are drow. Those could be drow here. Or I always screw up the pronunciation of those dark dwarves. Kathy Evans says, yeah, they're very nice. Yeah, these are pretty cool. I will say that you would probably wipe these off. They have a little bit, not every single one, but some of them have a little bit of almost like a residue. to kind of prevent them from sticking together. Now I do notice little bit of bubbling on the dragon here. Not bad. In fact, on this side, we don't have any. So there we've got some of the dragons. So it looks like we're moving into some of the larger tokens here. Looks like we've got some of these dragons at different ages, right? So here's our gold dragon. So that's kind of cool. We've got the 4 different ages. Would this, I mean, would that be an adult? That seems kind of small for an adult. Now, I would take a guess this is supposed to be the ancient dragon there. So, got those. Ooh, the white dragon's cool. I'm digging that. All right, so we also have, we're moving back into some of the smaller stuff. We actually have some tokens for just like items. We got some coffins, look like we have some pits. As I mentioned, I'm skipping some. I don't want to share every single one of these. See, we got a table. We've got a couple of chairs. Some more. Maybe you'd use those as characters, NPCs. I pointed this out before. I like top down. If I'm not going to be busting out, miniatures in that, then if I'm using like a battle map or something like that, I want top down. Because I think it just looks kind of odd if you just have like tokens with faces and stuff. I mean, it's fine. Mike says, reminds them of making shrinky dinks and putting them in the toaster oven. That's pretty wild. I remember those. All right. And got 3 more of these. I'm not going to share all 3, but here we go. Here's a Terresque. I'd say that's a big puppy there. That is mighty large. And we've got some more. Cool. We got the bullet or bullet, however you want to pronounce that. So once again, this set contains 24 sheets. They're all unique. Every single one. None of these were duplicates at all. Now, of course, some have loads of tokens, while others only have, if they're bigger, they might have 8. Looks like we had 8 for the dragons. I think some of these, there were a couple that had 4 because they were so large. But yeah, I got to say, I'm impressed. I would think that these would look really cool as far as virtual tabletop tokens too, with the PDFs, which are also available from Splattered Ink Games. As far as being able to purchase this box set, I got to be honest, I don't know if you can right now from the Splattered Ink Games website. You may only be able to get it as part of the crowdfunding project, the Kickstarter that's going on. And weirdly enough, maybe I didn't look too deep into this, but it looked as if you could only get this box set here as part of the, I think like the champion level, where you're getting all of the tokens we were just looking at, as well as all of the Tome of Beasts Volume 1 tokens. So you're getting over 800 tokens. Sean Dowell says you can get their first run on the website. Yeah, because I went to take a peek and kind of glanced around, and really all I was seeing was buying the sets or buying the sheets or buying just the virtual tabletop images. So cool. Because I got to be honest, I thought when I saw this at Gamehole Con, it was selling for like 150 or 175, something like that. So very cool. And then, of course, the box also ends up becoming your binder to carry all these around. I will say that the box itself, if you are going to have all of the tokens in it, is lighter than a box full of lead miniatures. I can tell you that much. Easy enough. All right, I'm going to put these in so these don't bounce all over the place. But yeah, I got to say, I'm impressed. This was very cool. I thought this looked very, very nice. And I got to say, looked like you get a pretty good value with all of those tokens. All right, once again, these are the classic fantasy role-playing game acrylic tokens from Splattered Ink Games. I do have a news piece about the Kickstarter. It was actually, I think I posted a few days ago. I will also have a link in the show notes for that Kickstarter if you want to take a peek. And of course, a link to Splattered Ink Games. Yes. Very cool. Very nice. All right. So that is it for this time out. Tomorrow night, we're going to take a peek at the 2 new Dungeons and Dragons releases, Heroes of Faerun, as well as Faerun Adventures from Wizards of the Coast. There will not be a news portion of the show tomorrow, so we're going to jump right on in and we will start taking a look at those books. We're going to actually tackle both of them in one video. Troy Cornelson was hanging with us in chat tonight. Good to see you once again. All right. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or taking a look at role-playing game tokens or flipping through a book or unboxing a board game. You understand what I mean. Then again, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Yeah, 2,300 videos. Yowza. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And of course, if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell because it's supposed to let you know not only when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It's also supposed to inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent first look at Dungeons Deep from my friends over at Kobold Press. Because yes, we are in the middle of another Kobold Press week. So I will be taking a look. Well, I should say I'll be taking a look and sharing a first look video of the new Riverbank role-playing game on Friday. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.